Hey everyone, welcome to episode 4 of my Philippine series on the island of Cebu. In this episode, you'll see the aftermath of tropical cyclone Jelawat, also known as Kabayan. Everything was absolutely drenched, and enough torrential rain continued to fall that Kawasan Falls Canyoneering was closed for the whole week. And that was the main reason I was in Cebu. But one thing that wasn't cancelled was swimming with whale sharks in Oslob. Now, I've had many hesitations in sharing this part of my trip. It shows a less positive side of my travels, and I don't like being a negative person. However, Oslob has been a source of contention long before I visited, and perhaps there is value in sharing my honest experience. I was aware of the controversies surrounding the whale sharks in Oslob, but I didn't really have anything else to do in Cebu. Plus, I'd never seen a whale shark before, and they are incredible creatures. I'll get to this episode in a tick. But I have recorded an additional segment at the end of the video, which shares some of my research into the ethics of whale shark tourism. Anyway, let's rewind to where it all started, landing in Cebu City and making my way to Moalboal, a town on the west coast.
I'm at baggage claim trying to figure out my next steps. I need to get to Moalboal, which is like 3 or 4 hour drive from here. I need to book a taxi or just get in a taxi, but I'm trying to see if there's anyone who would want to come with me. It's not looking good. Everyone's a couple and they all seem very unapproachable. I'm a confident gal, but I don't know. My bag I see on the thing right now, yes. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And also there's incredibly extreme weather warnings, so I'm not sure if that affects driving. Thank you. I've made a friend, Juan. And we're splitting a cab. Yes. It is 7:15 p.m. and I only just am arriving to the hostel. I have to walk down this pathway, which is super muddy. Because it's been pissing down raining for the past few days. That was almost a 4.5 hour ride. Oh, that traffic was terrible for like 100 kilometers. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. Where's the hostel?
Finally, I'd arrived at my hostel a lot later than expected.
So there's a pin, and you can pin the map where I am from. So I will pin Sydney. There I am. Oh man, okay, I'm eating Juan now for dinner, far out. I haven't eaten since 11 a.m. and it is 8 p.m. We got dinner. Yes! I am so hungry. Bought myself a Magnum after dinner and exploring the streets for a bit. Before I go back, I booked a 4 a.m. wake up for the Oslob whale shark viewing tomorrow. Weather should be good, hopefully. And that's it. I'll bid you farewell for the night because I gotta get to bed soon. It's already 9 p.m. and I have to be up in 7 hours. Currently a bit rainy, but we are on our way.
I really didn't film a lot in this leg of the trip. The rain had cancelled pretty much every activity that I wanted to do, and the only thing I was left with was a visit to Oslob to swim with whale sharks. I met a few people at the hostel when I arrived, and we all agreed that we'd do that together. After almost 2 hours driving, we arrived in Oslob.
Absolutely chaotic. There are hundreds of people here. I don't think it's going to be an interesting experience.
No, you already paid.
On the outside.
It was before 6 a.m. and all I remember was my jaw dropping at how many people were already there.
That line. Oh dear. Yeah, this is exactly what I expected. Have you seen how busy it is? I just genuinely cannot believe how many people there are here. There are hundreds, almost thousands I'd say. It is insane.
At this point, we were told by our guide to line up for a briefing and that we would be entering the water within less than half an hour.
Well, we've made it to half the ticket. The orientation.
Protection of the whale shark as well. First and the most important rule is you're not allowed.
We just had a briefing and we are not allowed to touch the whale shark, not wear sunscreen, and wear our life jackets on the way on a boat to get there. That was a brief summary. And now we are strolling down to get to the boats. And now we're in another marshalling area with a shit ton of people.
As I'm sure you can predict, it didn't end up that way. We ended up marshalling, but we were given a ticket with the number 182.
So we're number 82, and we're up to number 31 right now, and they said it's going to be 2 hours. Okay, wow. And now we're on a quest to find some food, and I'm gonna buy a GoPro case because we have 2 hours to kill.
By this point, it was around 7 a.m.
And then I'll get an egg.
Yes, please. I have gone with 3 boiled eggs because there's obviously not much else I can eat except for some questionably looking fried eggplant, but yeah, it goes it is.
To kill more time, I sourced a protective cover for my GoPro which had a cracked screen, so I could use it underwater to film the sharks.
Oh, still a bit blurry. Testing this new case. Looks to be okay underwater. Okay, it is currently 8:30. I have my waterproof casing on I just purchased. Hopefully you can hear sound through it and record that, but I'm not sure. And whale sharks will be still an hour or 2 away.
Area for boarding.
So basically we are number 182. We started at number 32. It's been 1.5 hours of waiting so far and we're only at number 111. We all actually trying to get home because this is just a waste of time and it's just not worth it at all. Aware that it's very privileged to whine about being able to travel, but it is very frustrating to have been told that we'd be back by 9 a.m. It is currently 9:20 a.m. and we have at least 2 hours still to wait to even go in and see these goddamn sharks. I don't even want to see them anymore. I've just wasted my morning and it's just such a dumb process and it just makes no sense whatsoever. We were just, I don't know, like, I've heard terrible things about Oslob and the weather was really bad, so this is why I came here today because everything else was cancelled, like canyoneering and everything. Almost 10 a.m. and we are at number 170 apparently, so we're apparently marshalling now. At least I made friends.
As you can tell, we all ended up staying, but we had one guy in our group who voluntarily took a 4-hour public bus home because he didn't want to participate any longer. After almost a 5-hour wait, this happened.
And 82, W183, W184.
182 was just called. About to put on our life jackets. How many people have worn these? Oh.
Even though we were about to see the whale sharks, seeing how many people there were, I had this sinking feeling. I could not believe how many people had already entered the water to see the sharks and how many were still remaining. We were rowed out about 100 meters to a semicircle of little pens. Each boat would spend about 3 minutes on each pen before they progressed to the next one, and it was in the middle pens that you could see the whale sharks. Once we'd reached the middle pen, it was time to jump in and swim with whale sharks. Obviously, they are magnificent creatures and so cool to see up close. But if you look closely, you can see that a lot of the sharks have lacerations and injuries, which I gather were from boat propellers. I'll explain this a bit more at the very end of this video.
Smells so bad.
The reason it smelt bad, and you'll see in later footage, is because the sharks are being fed by fishermen from a boat. And they're being fed this really old smelly fish, and chunks of that fish were suspended in the water, and we accidentally gulped them, and it was absolutely disgusting. I can assure you of that.
So we saw one, it was very big. Very
As this footage will show, the whale sharks were being fed constantly, and that was bait for them, so they would swim up and down just to entertain tourists and allow us to take photos of them. Here you'll see that not only were there people like us on the surface, but there were also scuba divers, and this was offered as an alternative way to look at the whale sharks. Apparently you see more further below, but from what I heard, it was a similar experience.
Can you smell the fish? Oh, yuck. It smells like catfish.
Look at all the people underwater. It is so shocking to see how disruptive this must be for whale sharks. And I know that they're being fed, but it is because they're kind of beholden to humans, and I will also describe that later. We spent about 15 minutes in the water before we were moved on to head back to shore.
Oh man.
They're throwing free food right now. All you gotta do is get it.
Done. Thoughts, feelings, yay, nay? Yeah, I'm also...
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
I got to see some sharks.
After almost 6 hours, we did end up seeing the whale sharks and it was back to shore.
Overall, yay or nay? Recommend?
Yay one time. Yeah, do it. If you haven't swum with sharks, do it once.
Or no?
W249, W250.
250 groups of at least 8 to 10 people today. So that's almost 2,500 people who came to Oslob to watch the sharks today. You're literally just paraded up and down in a boat with sharks all going up and down as well next to you, bobbing fed by locals on the boats. Questionable. And we're back, and we're heading back, and the sun is out. Back to the car. Time-stamped 1 p.m. back at the hostel. It's been a 9-hour morning for a half-an-hour activity, not even. The burrito took forever, so I'm so hungry. I've already eaten it before I even started paying, but it's juicy and cheesy. Summary of the hours since my burrito. I found a frangipani, cute. I booked a canyoneering tour, then found out it's probably going to be cancelled, and I found out about another canyoneering tour which hopefully will not be cancelled. So if I don't do Hawasan, I'll do Alegria tomorrow, but yeah, don't really know what's happening. It's just, yeah, the rain has fucked a lot of things up.
I literally spent the afternoon just aimlessly walking around, doing what I do best really, and eating ice cream.
The highlight of my day has been running into Juan, and we're just gonna walk to town, which is, actually we'll catch a trike to town and walk back 3-something kilometers. There's nothing else to do.
I know that there were other things I could have done, like the sardine run, but the water was also really murky and dirty, and I just didn't feel comfortable swimming in that because I know that's sort of shark territory, and I don't know, I just got in my head about it. So I also didn't do the sardine run.
Got me an ube cake, very purple. Doesn't really taste like anything. It's not bad. It's very dry.
Later that day, I was told that all canyoneering activities would be cancelled for the next few days.
So after a slightly disappointing few days, canyoneering's been cancelled again, which is literally the only reason I came to Moalboal. I've already extended my stay and I don't want to be here anymore. So I'm just going to request to cancel my stay at my current hostel and move on to Siquijor to see what that can do. I've got friends over there and I'm feeling a bit, I don't know, not lonely. I made some friends at the hostel last night. I'm just feeling a bit out of it and I want a bit of a shake up. I don't really think I've enjoyed my stay here. So I really want to move on and get a new start. Just waiting for my hostel to reply to me so I get my refund for my deposit for my key, and then I can just move on as soon as possible and get to Siquijor. Okay, so I have my journey to Siquijor, which will take many, many hours, and during which I'll probably be choose and chilling. But yeah, so the thing is, I'll be going to the bus stop. I'm going to choose to walk. It's a 4-kilometer walk to the bus stop. 4-kilometer walk to the bus stop. Then it's a 2.5-hour bus ride to the bus stop near the port. Then it's a trike to the port. Then it's a 15-20 minute ferry to Dumaguete. Then you have to take another trike or a taxi to the other port in Dumaguete. Then you have to take a ferry, which I think is a longer ferry, a 2-hour ferry to Siquijor, and then I'll have to take a taxi or something to get to my accommodation. Whew. It's gonna be wild. Oh man. Are we filming? We are filming. Okay, I thought I would jump in and be more personal in this video because it does touch on controversies and I don't want to offend people. Because really, I had the best time in the Philippines. I loved it. But when you travel, there are some experiences you don't like as much as others, and this was one of them. And then when I delved further into it, I realized I didn't like it as well because of the ethical side of it. Overall, a very unethical experience. Not worth it. Obviously the amount of people there was ridiculous, but it felt wrong, and I've done some research to prepare for this video. And first I'd start with some things I've read from locals in the area in their support of swimming with sharks. People in the area say that the sharks aren't caged, they're free to come and go, they're well fed, and they're also protected because these sharks come to Oslob and therefore they're not poached in the global shark fin trade. Oslob also provides a more affordable opportunity for tourists in the area to see whale sharks instead of visiting more remote destinations like Ningaloo Reef in Australia, Mafia Island in Tanzania, Leyte and Dorsal, which are also in the Philippines, but more difficult to get to, and I think more expensive as well. But let us consider some of the facts of what's going on in Oslob. The reason the sharks in Oslob are hand-fed is to guarantee sightings of them for tourists, 365 days a year. Often, as you can see from my experience, there were thousands of tourists coming every day to see the sharks, and there is little sign of this industry slowing down at all. But even though these sharks aren't in pain, they're not caged, and there's no drugging involved, research indicates that by hand feeding them, humans are changing their natural behaviour, which has a long-term and damaging effect in many, many ways. Here are some concerning facts which have been unveiled by scientists. Firstly, the only reason that whale sharks are in Oslob is because they're being fed. In fact, the topology of the area is not a suitable breeding ground for whale sharks, so they're there only to be fed and they don't have their proper breeding patterns. Oslob whale sharks are actually significantly smaller than other whale sharks in other areas, and this is due to the lack of nutrition in the food they're being provided by the fishermen. Statistics show that 47% of sharks in Oslob have received cuts from propellers and boat injuries. They experience scarring and injuries to their fins, mouths, and bodies. This is partly due to overcrowding in the water, but this is also partly due to their familiarity with boats. Based on these facts, there is an obvious level of exploitation involved in the process in Oslob. The whale sharks are not in literal captivity, but they have developed a dependency on the fishermen in the area for sustenance. This keeps them away from their natural habitat and makes them beholden to humans. Now, this isn't an isolated experience to me. When I was in Belize in 2023, I experienced a very similar thing. We had our tour operators feed sharks around our boat so they would stay around the boat and we could film them while we jumped in and swam. I had an icky feeling about that when I was there as well because it felt exploitative and it was just as if they were there for show and they weren't in their natural habitat, which obviously they were not. They were being literally baited to swim around for human enjoyment. And hey, I know I'm a huge hypocrite because I did all of this. I paid, I did it. I physically and financially contributed to what I now see as an unethical practice. But I also am glad I did it because it has made me permanently aware of this situation. And it's not just in the Philippines, this is a worldwide problem. And for this particular experience, apart from the unethical practices, in my opinion, it's a really time-consuming activity and for little reward, also in my opinion. In better weather, this activity would take a huge chunk out of your day. Think 4 a.m. till 1 p.m. to swim with sharks for less than 20 minutes. You could spend that time doing so many other exciting things in Cebu. All the things that I unfortunately did not get the chance to do because of the weather. So, what is the solution? Well, unfortunately, I really don't have one. I am not a marine biologist, as I'm sure you can tell. I'm reading a script here because I prepared a script for this based on research I've conducted for this video. For tourists, I honestly would recommend avoiding Oslob if you're not willing to experience exactly what I've detailed here. But I also understand that people want to see whale sharks and this might be their only opportunity, so I don't want to cast judgment on people who do end up choosing to go. In relation to the activity itself, I'm realistic in thinking that there is no way that this process will change that much, if at all. But as a start, I really strongly believe that there should be daily caps for how many people visit and swim with the sharks. Because honestly, when I was there, it was shocking. Like, thousands of people in one day swimming next to these beautiful creatures. I think it would be disturbing for the sharks, and they really are only there just to be fed. And it just, it really detracted from my own experience. And I know that this is sort of the state of tourism these days. Everywhere there's an issue of over-tourism, but there has to be some sort of limit. I understand that the local fishermen and the municipality generate a lot of income from tourism in the area. But the way it's currently being run is actually risking the longevity of the process itself, because it's threatening the breeding patterns of the whale sharks, which means they will breed less in the long term. Okay, anyway, this is all just food for thought. I really don't want to try and sway you against going to Oslob if you really want to go, because I think it was cool to see whale sharks. It was. I've never seen them in my life, and I likely will never see them again. So for that, it was an experience. But I'm obviously just sharing my own experience here in relation to the ethics of it. And you can make your own mind if you want to visit. There are plenty of other places in the Philippines you can see whale sharks, like Leyte and also in Dorsal. And these areas practice ethical watching of the sharks. What that details, I'm not entirely sure, but that can be something you can research yourself. There's a website from Moalboal Eco Lodge, which I recommend reading. I've linked it in the description below, and it just covers a lot of the ethical quandaries of whale shark watching in Oslob, and it's written by locals, which shows that it's not entirely supported by every single person in Cebu. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I know it's been a bit of a different video to what they usually are, and you can see me in real time in my apartment. How exciting. But I really hope I haven't come across as patronizing or harsh. That's something I never want to be. In these videos, I've always shared the truth, and I think that that is such an important part of sharing your travels, is not hiding the shitty parts. It's not hiding things that you did not agree with or you didn't enjoy as much, because you learn from it yourself personally, and it's good to share to let other people know that maybe there are some qualms with a certain thing that's offered for tourism. I will reiterate again that this video shares my personal experiences and my own opinions. I will see you next time for another different video, because this next video just covers a very, very long transit I experienced from Cebu to Siquijor, full of surprises and exhaustion, I must admit. Thank you again, and I will see you next time.